Excited about Airsoft? Hit the like button and comment to join other Airsofters in the conversation. What's up, Airsofters? PCCs have been all the rage in Airsoft lately. Their smaller, more maneuverable form factor, comfortable ergonomics, and slimmer magazines make them an ideal choice for close quarters engagements. So it's easy to see why all of the brands are making them. But one particular PCC has been proving elusive since the announcement and release of its larger sibling, the MCX. And that, my fellow Airsofters, is this one right here. The SIG AIR MPX AEG. This is an AEG that a lot of us have been waiting for a long time. And now that it's here, we're all dying to know if it was worth the wait. We're going to show you what the MPX is all about, what it's got under the hood, but only after we go over this thing from tip to tail and, of course, take it out to the range. Like the MCX, the MPX is amazingly detailed in every aspect of its construction. At the muzzle end, you'll have 14mm negative threads under the flash hider. This will, of course, ship with an orange flash hider in the US, and that's just the law of the land here in the States. But we think it really looks cool with a substantial mock suppressor on the end, which also has the added benefit of filling the handguard entrance and therefore protecting your wiring and battery. The handguard has M-LOK slots on the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock positions with ample lightning cuts and venting in between. This helps keep things light and looks really aggressive. If you haven't spotted it already, yes, the battery cable is under the handguard. This thing is front wired, which means that the front battery compartment is up here around the barrel. We'll touch on that more later. The receiver is very much patterned after an AR-style rifle, with an upper and lower portion that come apart when you punch out these pins. Since it's Airsoft, only the front pin needs to be punched out, and it is captive, which is a nice touch, and you won't lose it as easily. The lower receiver has all of the trademarks on it, with a very clean laser-etched SIG logo and the model designation on the left side of the flared magazine well, and just above the trigger you'll find a unique serial number below the trademarks, and then the very clean molded-in fire mode pictographs around the fire selector. The pistol grip is very comfortable with awesome SIG trades on the sides and a nice positive grip texture. Now, of course, you could swap this with any other M4 style motor grip, but why would you? This one is nice and slim up at the top and has a really nice vertical angle, so it doesn't fatigue your wrist when you're using it in close quarters engagements or operating from a low or high ready into a shouldered position constantly. It's really nice and really comfortable. I like it. By the way, the entire AEG is metal, except for the pistol grip and the stock. The receiver and handguard are precision CNC machined and feel really nice and solid. The stock rail is all metal, and the part you put your face against is high-strength polymer. The whole stock folds to the side for storage and transport. Now, to do so, simply lift up on the stock and swing it closed. To deploy, just pull. The locking assembly is all metal and very sturdy. The stock has 5 positions of adjustment, not counting folded, and has this little button inside a button to adjust thing. Now, this did take me some time to get used to doing quickly. It's like they want you to be really sure you want to adjust it, rather than make it easy or possible to accidentally adjust. I mean, I get the intention. I just like it to be a little bit more rapid than having to hunt for the lower button. Personally, I think this stock feels and looks way better than the MCX stock, and I like that it folds. But I do think it's a missed opportunity for battery storage. Like, I'm all for SIG trying to replicate their real rifles and PCCs as closely as possible. But couldn't they have made some design considerations to maybe make the stock itself a little wider, or foregoing the I-beam style metal portion of the sliding stock thing in order to run a battery cable or battery wire so that you could put a battery in a folding stock? I don't know. I'm just not a huge fan of batteries inside handguards, but that's just me. Now, there are two options for mounting a sling. Either a QD point on either side of the stock here, or a loop for webbing in the crook of the stock. Now, speaking of sling points, there's actually a third QD mount on the receiver right under where the stock attaches to the back Picatinny section. Keep in mind too, these have quick change spring guides, so gaining access to that by removing the stock off the Picatinny section will give you access to that door that opens to get to the quick change spring guide. All right, you might not have known, but the stock attaches to the receiver with a bit of 1913 pick rail, just like its full-size brother, the MCX. And that means that these two stocks are interchangeable. There is the slightest bit of play in the folding mechanism of the stock, but it's just a result of the parts designed to move in relation to each other. Really nothing to write home about. The whole stock section is very solid and very durable. Moving up to the top of the MPX, we're presented with the ambidextrous charging handle, which, when pulled back, pops open the polymer dust cover and locks the mock metal bolt to the rear. The adjustment wheel is a rotary style, and it's easy to adjust. I do wish, however, that the mock bolt retracted just a little bit further, so I had a little bit more room to get my finger in there to make the adjustment, especially with gloves on. I also kind of wish that it had positive clicks during the adjustment, but really, that's minor. Once you set the hop up, it'll stay there. And it's got this really rewarding click when it closes. The controls on the MPX are a strength of the system, in my opinion. For a PCC to use standard AR style controls, with nothing new and nothing fancy, all of the buttons and levers are metal and they're all ambidextrous. The fire selector, the mag release, the charging handle, and the bolt release can all be operated easily by both right and left-handed users. And because it's a standardized system, there's nothing new to learn here. I do have to say though, the various PCCs on the market that employ a centralized paddle-style mag release just in front of the trigger guard, my first instinct when picking up the MPX was to go for a mag change and grab for that paddle. And while the standard location of the M4 style mag release in the ambidextrous locations is easy to find and used, I'm honestly kind of missing that paddle a little bit. It's not a huge deal. I will say that the ambidextrous factory mag releases are nicely protected. So if you sling this and you drop it against your gear, you don't have to worry about accidental mag drops. The selector lever is the standard 180-degree affair, sweeping from safe to semi to full auto, or safe to semi to full auto. You get the idea. The selector lever feels very nice, it has very positive clicks into place, and doesn't move when you don't want it to. Side note, I've been asking companies to put Deans or T-plugs on AEGs for a long time, and more of them are finally picking up the torch and making the swap. Do I need to start asking companies to do 45-90 selectors too? I mean, personally, after using them, they are superior to the 90-180 in just about every way. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Actually, speaking of Deans, this comes with Tamiya's. Why? Come on, guys. And that brings us to the magazine, which, despite being proprietary, I think is really cool. The MPX ships with one mid-cap, which holds 98 rounds, and has a set of really cool-looking mock bullets inside. You can sort of see the BBs in there from the front, but it's not really clear enough to check during a game. That's no big deal. What is a big deal is the nice texturing on the mag. It's really positive and feels very nice when reloading, and of course, it replicates the real thing. Let's talk a little bit about the reload procedure. Despite the huge shoot of a mag well that the MPX has, which really does help with getting the magazine in, because of the strength of the magazine release spring and the geometry of the magazine release physically inside the mag well, you can't just gingerly insert the magazine. It is going to take a little bit of effort. So either depress the mag release to load your magazine, which not as fun, or just be a little bit more assertive with your mag changes. Not a big deal, just something to be aware of. And who knows, as it breaks in, it may get easier. Now, before we head out to test this puppy, let's talk about battery space and storage location. Like its MCX counterpart, the SIG MPX AEG is wired to the front, which means the battery compartment is essentially the airspace between the outer barrel and the handguard. You can pretty easily slide a battery over the top of the outer barrel, and we found that the best fitment to be a standard buffer tube sized 1000 milliamp hour stick type LiPo, wired of course to Tamiya's. But it also happens to be one that commonly fits in buffer tubes. So if you already have an AEG that has a buffer tube like an M4, it should fit just fine. Our FPS test showed an average of just about 370 FPS and about 18 RPS on full auto when using 0.20 gram BBs and a 1000 milliamp 11.1 volt LiPo stick type. In our distance and accuracy test, the SIG MPX was able to land most shots on our 6-inch plate and placed a nice tight grouping on our Evike Professional silhouette target at 50 feet. Out at 100 feet, the spread grew considerably. Thankfully, we were still able to land a few hits on our body-sized silhouette target. Suffice to say, out of the box, I think this is really intended for more CQB environments. If you'd like to improve the accuracy at distance and tighten up your groupings a bit, upgraded inner barrels, hop-up buckings, and nubs are all available here at Evike.com. And thankfully, the quick change spring can help you bring down the FPS to be well within most indoor field requirements if you are using this in a CQB environment. For all that makes the MPX unique on the outside, the inside is refreshingly familiar. If you watch our MCX teardown, you'll quickly recognize that many of the version 2 VFC Avalon parts that help that system run well are also present here. The gears are 16:1 with a delayer chip on the sector gear. These gears spin on 8mm W cage bearings and are driven by a ferrite magnet motor. If you're looking for snappier trigger response, a 30K neodymium magnet motor would be a great upgrade here. The piston is polymer with a half metal rack, the second tooth removed, and a ported aluminum piston head with no thrust bearing. The cylinder is ported, the cylinder head is polymer with a single O-ring, and the polymer air nozzle has a single O-ring on the inside. Overall, compression is decent, but a compression upgrade kit would certainly kick things up a notch. You can find upgrade kits and parts right on our website. The wiring has an inline 25 amp automotive fuse, and although this uses a standard version 2 trigger assembly, there's an attached MOSFET for reliable function with an 11.1 volt battery. The barrel and bucking are standard AEG, and this hop-up chamber looks just like a normal VFC chamber, just with a different adjustment dial. So that would mean that these are compatible with other version 2 style hop-up units. In fact, we found the EMG Max model CNC aluminum hop-up chamber to be a perfect fit that fed well. And that's the wonderful thing about a standardized system like the version 2. There are so many upgrade parts already available, and you could easily put different gears, a piston, or even a Gate Titan MOSFET in here without heavy modification. So it's a good thing that this MPX uses a parts list that's ready for upgrades. Now, if you've been in the market for an Airsoft PCC AEG for some time and haven't pulled the trigger, the SIG AIR MPX is just what you've been waiting for. It's compact, comfortable, sturdy, and most of all, supremely cool looking. To add this to your Airsoft arsenal, head to our website at Evike.com, where you can find this excellent AEG, every accessory you ever wanted to slap on it, and everything else you need to fuel your Airsoft game. Thanks for watching. Don't miss out on the action. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, check out our TikTok, and join us on Facebook for everything Airsoft.